Hi, everybody. I'm burning the midnight oil again, of course. Um, I was going to come on a little bit earlier, and then we received some breaking news. Um, Really a confession and a heart wrenching confession, and so we had to just stop everything and really think about what this soldier was telling us, and um, and we then, of course, um, cleaned it up a bit, turned it into a post, and it's very, very powerful. And I hope that you read it. So that's why we're coming on every evening. It gets very busy with new information, breaking news all the time. And today, it's been the entire day screaming from this morning. And you can tell by our posts, right? You can tell by our posts. And I haven't even transferred them over to X yet. And I need to do that. And I need to transfer them to Truth. That's why I need you to share these posts. We would really, really appreciate it. This news has to get out. It is so, um, we are so close, y'all. We are absolutely so close, and it's such big, big news. And it is for if you care about yourself, if you care about your family, if you care about your future, if you care about the economy, if you care about children, if you care about animals, if you care about women, if you care about men, if you care about our military, if you care about our president. There is a million reasons to share these posts that we're putting up. And some of them, I totally agree. They seem a little outlandish because 5 years ago, if I would have read them, before all this happened to us, they would have seemed a little bit outlandish, and I don't know if I would have shared them. So I totally understand, and that's why we're on every day to earn your trust, and to prove that we have been right all along, so that you will absolutely, without any hesitation, share our posts, and know that we have done our research, we've done our homework, we've done our double checking, we have checked our sources, that we have put together uh, a story that's beyond belief, um, and it needs to get out, and it needs to get out because we have a security breach in the whole world. And I think it was what Bush was calling the New World Order. He was like, we're going to breach the security. And it's called the breach, the hammer that we're going to use, the weapon that we're going to use is called the New World Order. And I think that that's what happened. I really do. And that seems kind of outlandish, but this is including the entire world, isn't it? And thank God for President Trump, who has to maneuver all of this, who has to do the art of the deal within all of this, without having to take the whole thing down with a world war. I mean, he is absolutely the president of peace, and that requires a lot of negotiation. And um, I've been hearing. Let me see if I'm on. Make sure that everything is working. Let me see. I don't. Yeah, there it is. Okay. So, put this down a little bit here too. It's been so busy, and I didn't even put my hat on. I needed to put my hat on. Um, so really, let's get started because yesterday I didn't even make a really big deal out of day 2000, right? A big deal out of day 2000 because we are so intensely filing all of our findings, right? And that's why our information is so good because not only are we gathering all this information, we are then identifying the crimes and then drafting the letters to file. We have been filing with all the agencies and institutions um, all along the way. All along the way. Can you imagine how many letters we have written? And we certify those letters, and how many emails that we have written. I think that everyone knows Richard Halliday's name within the agencies and the institutions. Matter of fact, I would say I'm very confident that they know Richard Halliday's name. So think about that. Think about that. And I think that they know because we have filed and filed and filed about the Mayellas, about arresting Lilani Hart. She absolutely needs to be arrested. And so, and we're not deterred by their angst. Okay. We're not deterred by their angst, by their hesitation, by their cowardly or compromised pace, right? Because we have President Trump, and President Trump is creating an entirely new board, a totally new board. He is absolutely trashing the new world order. Okay. The World Health Organization he took us out of. He's absolutely redoing. I mean, he learned from his first administration, because he wanted to end NATO, right? Because there's no need for NATO, right? Um, because of Europe. And living in Europe for so long, we totally understood that is just money being poured into a drain. And now he's made them pay. Instead of just saying, well, let's just get rid of it, it'll save us a lot of money. And then having the big media explosion of retaliation against him. He is negotiating um, differently with all of it to redo it all. And so, so we can't say that we understand everything that he's doing, but what he did at Davos was just absolutely brilliant. What he has done with Iran, absolutely brilliant. What he has done with um, Venezuela, with Maduro, who was absolutely tampering with our elections, with our sovereignty, and also the fuel, the petrodollar. Now, all these people will scream about different things, but and rightfully so, because it's not pretty. This is vicious. This is absolutely the vicious fight for our hemisphere, for our sovereignties, right? This is a different kind of battle, and it is vicious. So it's not pretty. It is absolutely not pretty. But who is going to, if we don't have the petrodollar in the United States, uh, we're in big, big trouble. We're in very big trouble. And the United States is depended on by so many countries. So if we're in big trouble, then we go down. Um, so many countries go down. And you're talking about so many deaths. And I'm not a fear monger. I don't like all that fear mongering with the Cobra Strike. And I don't even believe in that big V word. I don't even believe in that. I believe people get sick for other reasons. Um, but so I don't like to fear monger. But when you're talking about the economy, uh, you know, and we've been in this new world order development for so long that we almost have forgotten what it's like not to live within it, right? So, from everything that I know, we 100% support President Trump at this time, 100%. And so let's get started because I know that that is controversial, and and I want to earn your respect. I want to earn your understanding, and so I come every day. I'll come on and explain what we have gone through, what we have seen, the intelligence um, curtain has been pulled back for us to get a peek of the inside workings of um, this very criminal organization that's called the New World Order, right? So, let's get started so I can explain more. This is day 2001. I don't have any fancy music. I have a lot of music, but I don't have any fancy music ready. And let's get started. 2001 days since Richard was forcibly removed from his barracks room and taken downstairs into the basement to the arms room, which is a soundproof room, and his life was taken. He fought like hell. Our information is that he bashed perpetrator's mouth in so bad they had to get emergency dental surgery, dental care, and um, but Richard lost his life and brutally, and was stolen off of Fort Bliss. People say, how could that happen? That's because DES Thomas Kane was in on it. Okay, he's the one that controlled the cameras and the gates, the gate guards, and everything. So he was in on it. All right, and I can say that DES Thomas Kane was in on it. He was in on it. Um, so Richard's body was stolen off of Fort Bliss and trafficked to Mexico. Now, I've had this question or statement saying that a soldier's body that was murdered on Fort Bliss to be stolen and trafficked to Mexico is absurd. That's the word they use, absurd. It is. It is so absurd because protection is everywhere. You see that with the Charlie Kirk investigation. They're protecting the murderers. They're protecting the murderers. The investigation is one big dog and pony show. It's just, if it wasn't for the civilian investigators, they would want us to just accept, I forgive you, and go on and go on with the Charlie Kirk case. And, so that's absurd. And you're talking about a man that grew a business to be earning hundreds of millions of dollars, maybe more than that, and to, in a very young age, barely in his 30s, to choose the vice president of the United States for President Trump, really, to recommend anyway, to recommend, and to have his recommendation taken by the most powerful man in the world. I mean, that's what That's what TPUSA was under Charlie Kirk. That's who Charlie Kirk was. And this investigation into him is absolutely tampered with in a dog and pony show. And pretty sinister, very sinister, everything. So, of course, Richard, being a soldier in the U.S. Army, um, absolutely reporting on the military's connection with the 2019 Walmart shooting. Okay? The 2019 Walmart shooting that was orchestrated to take down President Trump. It had some other functions, some other purposes, but its main purpose was to oust President Trump. And we know our military is up to no good. We know that the cartel is infiltrated. We know now even stronger because today we had a soldier that it was a heartbreaking confession about the state of our NCOs, the state of our officers, the state of our military. It was heartbreaking. And of course, President Trump is having to deal with that, and he is dealing with it because we've been keeping close track. But it is for him, he has to rally our military because of our volunteer sons and daughters, and they're in danger. And this, to prevent a full-blown civil war, right? Really, can you imagine? And I mean, I'm waiting for the day where Sean Bernabe is arrested, court-martialed, facing the death penalty, and that I get to buy a front row ticket to the accountability. And I don't think I even have to buy it, right? And I think that they'll even let me have my wish to sit right in the middle, right in front of him, look him right in the eye, and watch him be held accountable for his betrayal. Absolutely. I'm waiting for that day. I'm wanting that day to happen. And I'm working to help make it happen. Because he should not be commander over any of our service members. Not a one of them. Because he's not trustworthy. He's broken his oath. If he's broken his oath, that uniform needs to come off. The stars need to come off. And in this case, it's so egregious. It's so egregious because it's against President Trump. And I shouldn't even say President Trump because it doesn't matter who's in the office, right? It's the office of the presidency that they weaponized their positions, their access, their their military for. This was, I believe, absolutely mutiny. Absolutely mutiny. And President Trump, because we've been watching him carefully every day, he has navigated it beautifully. Can you imagine when you have it's like reading, because I like history and being a homeschool mom. I read all about George Washington, right? George Washington, who is probably the only other president that was surrounded by traitors. President Washington, George Washington, was totally surrounded by traitors. And he had to navigate around all of that to build a navy, to build an economy, to keep from being enslaved by England, Great Britain, because they wanted to just, you know, um, tax without any representation, just tax without um, even even addressing the needs of the colonies. And the best place to go to read the grievances of George Washington is the Fairfax Resolves. And you'll never be the same again, because you'll know what he had to navigate through. Yes, even the slavery issue. Even the slavery issue is addressed in the Fairfax Resolves. That's like 70 years, 80 years before Lincoln. And George Washington was absolutely determined to end it. And it was just, I can't even tell you what um, the battle around all of that was. It is, I think George Mason also really addresses it in his writings. Um, at the George Mason Library, you can read some of those documents, and um, it's, it's not what you learn in school. The schools are propaganda machines. The movies seem to be very propaganda. The other day I watched with my mother and husband um, a movie called The Naked Jungle, a really old movie. The movie takes place in 1901. The Naked Jungle, fighting the coming ants. The coming ants. It was a really interesting old movie. But anyway, um, so is it possible, or is it absurd for what they did to Richard? Well, of course it's absurd, but it absolutely happened. It absolutely happened. We have all the receipts. We have all the receipts, and we have documented it and documented it and documented it and documented it again and filed it and filed it and filed it and documented it again. And to earn the respect of the agencies, yes, even though they're evil, they're so evil, but they depend on the people. And they're weak. They're very weak. And so you've just got to keep going, earn earn your right, um, so that they respect the truth. And I think we have won the narrative battle. I think after today's confession from a soldier, I'm absolutely just convinced that we have won the narrative battle. That the New World Order, which is made up of many, but I would say a big portion of this Mormon faction, and I'm not putting down the entire Mormon, wards and their stakes and all of this. I am saying that something very dangerous has infiltrated them, and I call it the Mormon faction. And they are wicked, very, very wicked, and very toxic, and very criminal. And they are in alliance with the cartels. They are in alliance with the cartels, and not cartels like thuggy looking guys, really dangerous guys that they show you on the TV. I'm talking about the Maduros, the El Chapos, the El Mayos, the those that are politicians, the Amaru Campuses, the Veronica Escobars. She's totally in league with it. The Beto O'Rourke. I would say even Ted Cruz. From my estimations, I would say, yeah, a big part of the politicians in Texas. I would say big part of really big part of the politicians in Arizona. And I would say military leadership, NCOs and flag officers alike. These are cartel, El Paso cartel, in league with the Mexican cartels, um, maybe the Zionist cartels, maybe the Easterner cartels, you know, this organized crime in the New World Order that they absolutely look at that pipeline just in our hemisphere. Um, you have to have a lot. It's like the people are paying taxes to pay for the security of the cartel operatives, the the narco politicians, the narco media, the narco intelligence, the narco weapons. It's like the people are paying taxes for this organized criminal world order. And they're always scheming to find a new way to leech on to whatever the people have or are doing and suck whatever they can. And for our family, they took our son's life. Yeah, because they have to give themselves using taxpayers' money security to operate criminally with impunity. That means they can do whatever they want, and the judges are all narco judges or not even, they're imposters. I mean, in El Paso, and I think El Paso is the epicenter and demonstrates what's going on across the United States and of course across the borders, because the judges in the criminal law magistrate court that handles, like, what is it, close to 90, maybe over 90, maybe 95% of all the cases in El Paso, every one of those are illegal. They're usurpers. They're criminals in robes. They're narco imposters. They've taken over. They're, yeah, I think usurper is the right word. Usurper or infiltrator, or what's another good word? Invaders, invaders that just usurp these positions. I think usurpation is the best word, where they just come in, they don't feel like they have to follow any law. They just put on the robe and sit there and then direct you and could put you in jail and can, fine you and whatever. They have no constitutional right to even do it. It's uh it's absurd, but it's absolutely happening every day. Every day. And you have the medical examiner getting $500,000 of taxpayers' money every year. He's, living in, in luxury, and he's illegal. And he has tampered with so many official records, and he's illegal and not qualified. And so, and then we have the likes of Montoya, who is also a usurper, Mr. 2028 stamp, with his predecessor, Bill Hicks, who is such a criminal. I mean, and he is not liked, y'all. He is not liked at all. I mean, because um, let's just leave it at that. And the only ones that like him are the ones that know that he's going to be a swindler and a rotten, um, to allow the trafficking and not do his job when it comes to establishing the law, enforcing the law, abiding by the law. So many people don't like the law. The law is great. It's these law breakers that are the problem. It's the law breakers that are the problem. And so, do we have proof, that evidence that Richard was removed, eyewitness testimony? Um, do we have a whistleblower? We have a whistleblower, Judge Roger Rodriguez, the the coordinator for anti-terrorism and homeland security programs at Fort Bliss, in his official capacity, absolutely destroying the fake narrative with his witness testimony, and filed it with multiple agencies. Put it on Ted Cruz's desk. Put it on Sean Bernabe's desk. We have DHS testimony, DES testimony, DOJ testimony. We have soldiers' testimony. We have cartel testimony. We have the testimony of the Army. We have the testimony of President Trump. I, we don't monetize, right? We don't monetize. We're not making any money here, not a dime. Um, because, someone very close said, then you would have to abide by their rules. It would be much stricter to say things. And I'm like, well, that nails it. There's no monetizing. Um, because we have to be able to say the truth. and coming on here every day. And you see what's happening with Candace Owens and other small YouTube channels. They are being handed cease and desist, right? Because of contracts. Um, well, Candace Owens' contract with TPUSA. And I don't think, I don't think it's going to harm her for saying what she wants, but it's putting her, in this legal, aggravation, an aggravation that she has to deal with. And she has a team that would like to be doing other things, getting to the bottom of who killed Charlie Kirk. Just like we want our son's remains. And we absolutely understand because of everything, all the connections, what we're up against, that we know that this is going to be a vicious negotiation for Richard's remains, because Richard's remains um, will just blow everything apart. And we're very aware of that, and they know that we know that. But if President Trump can get Greenland, and because he wrote us those letters, and because of what those letters had in them, we know that we're in the vicious negotiation for our son's remains, and that he knows where they're at. He knows where they're at. And it is, well, evidence indicates we know where they're at. And Mexico needs to give them back to us. They need to give them back, but it's leverage. I mean, when you have Maru Campos and um, Cesar Duarte and El Mayo and El Chapo and Cesar Paneche and Carlos Manuel Salas and, and I'm Arleano Caron family, the Purchase family. When you have these millionaires and billionaires, the Woody Hunts, the Alejandro de la Vega, the Paul Foster, the Rick Francis, who runs that whole airport there, up to no good. And you have Jeffrey Epstein in his death still haunting. This is a vicious negotiation for our son's remains, um, because and and I'll tell you why. I'll tell you why. Because Richard was reporting on the military's ties to the Walmart mass shooting that was targeting President Trump, that was orchestrated to use. There's other reasons too, but the main reason, to oust President Trump. They were trying to get rid of President Trump and put in Beto O'Rourke. That's what they were trying to do. This was an attack on President Trump 100%. All evidence confirms. This is not a guess. This is not a guess. This was absolutely an attack on President Trump's presidency, candidacy, and I would even say his life. They wanted him out because he disrupts their New World Order, which is like that pipeline that goes down to Brazil. Can you imagine that? I just posted, let me see what I posted on, because it's been such a really busy day, and I'll go through it. And I know I talked a long time yesterday because there's so much information. So I did talk about the insider bombshell. It was heart wrenching. And I'm just praying for this soldier, because I think he just was majorly blessed by God. For him to just confess the way he did is just, it's, there's a contriteness there, right? There's a contriteness, there is a self-awareness. It's an epiphany. And I think he just brought himself, well, God just will bless him for that. Absolutely. Give him a peace that passes understanding. And I pray that he has a peace that passes understanding for this confession, because it was just powerful, so powerful, and such a big help. And I just want to say thank you so much, because it absolutely corroborates everything. So I did want to talk about that. Um, this this Plenitude Crematorium and the family that owns it cannot be ignored. I have to post and repost. We cannot forget about Rosa Maria Purchase, Arliano Caron, and her son Raphael, and her other son Louis, who's in prison right now or being held, right? But Raphael is not, and he's the one that has a house beside Beto O'Rourke. He has other houses. He has big business, a very big business. That's why they're protecting him. He had his little fine dining with Ricardo Samaniago to, get protection. He gets the protection, right? Um, and of course, with Wetton, right? With Connell Wetton, the assistant special agent in charge, is giving him access and protection because remember what Oswaldo Barunda or Rodriguez Barunda did, the owner of Aldiario years ago. They made an alliance, right? He was always a businessman. He made this joint venture alliance between the Juarez cartel and the El Paso cartel that allowed these visas and buying houses and banking and everything for all of these Juarez cartel individuals that now live in El Paso, right? They live in El Paso. Why is Raphael living in El Paso? Right? This flesh peddler. Why is he living? Why is he doing business and getting licenses in El Paso? He has multiple businesses with licenses, very hard to get licenses, and yet he's got it because he's got access to that as a flesh peddler because of what Oswald uh, Rodriguez Barunda did. Right? And if anyone wants to get a little bit, feisty and turn in a complaint, then you got your family member, Sylvia Barunda Firth, to block it. To block it. You go to, you don't like what the judge is saying, or the lawyer is saying, or, you know, that these cartel are living in El Paso, getting visas, getting driver's license, getting loans, getting business, probably COVID funds or whatever. I mean, getting all of these privileges. You don't like it, you want to complain. Well, you've got to get through the retaliation, the blocking, the obstructionist of Sylvia Brunda Firth, family member to Oswaldo, Oswaldo um, Rodriguez Barunda, you know. So they have their joint venture alliance, and this is why El Paso in these years has just really, you can really feel it. This cartel, these the tax is going up, right? The tax is going up because the cost of that protection, the cost of that protection for these cartel, uh, you know, um, flesh peddlers gets pretty high. You got to pay for their security. You got to pay the judges. You got to pay the lawyers. You got to pay, uh, for the who's that guy? The medical examiner. You got to pay. You got to pay um, the county clerk, Delia Briones. You got to pay her. If you want tampered documents, she's not going to do it for free. So, yeah, it gets expensive. And so pay up, taxpayer, pay up. And that's why the taxes go up, you see, because they don't want to use their illicit funds that they have to money launder to pay for all of these expenses for security. Uh, you know, Ortiz, exactly, Mario Rascon Ortiz. Thank you so much, Laura. Thank you. Thank you, Anicia, for coming on and your hearts and your love and your prayers. It is something else. So, yeah, I wanted to that, you know, and if we have to flush pedal and give you, construction material in our urn, well, you just have to accept it and let us take your loved one's body and recycle it so we can get our, I mean, these are how evil these people are, it's just disgusting. So, yes, and I posted up about Mario Rascon Ortiz and Delia Briones and Ricardo Samaniago. They all need to be arrested, every last one of them, right? There's no, oh yeah, there's Carlos Manuel Salas. There, there's the top cop that got honey trapped by the lady that likes the cars. She had the whole fleet of cars, $6 million worth of cars, and then she has to pay for upkeep on that. That costs a lot, so she had to go give the top cop a little kissy here and there, right? And have frisky business in a parking lot while he's on duty, while he's, I mean, you can't make up this. And we were writing him. We've written him so many times. This Sanchez guy, the director of the Department of Public Safety, right? Taxpayers pay up, because Jose Sanchez needs to do some frisky business in a parking lot with his honey trap, right? With his honey trap. He don't have time to fight crime. No, he's blocking it, he's obstructing any kind of investigations and assigning the other Sanchez, Gustavo Sanchez, who's related to Nadal Baim, to our case. I mean, you can't make this stuff up. It's just, they are so corrupt and they need to be absolutely in handcuffs and um, facing the full measure of accountability. And so we're going to keep, in this Ricardo Samaniago, you need to mask up, you need to stay in your house. But, my son can go and have a big old party, invite everyone over, yeah, and do all kinds of things that are not conducive to standing 6 feet apart from each other. Yeah, he's they're just all such frauds. It's just very, very obvious now. It's very obvious, and so the truth is out. And if you search, you will find, right? Knock and seek, and you shall find. Knock, and the door shall be open. I mean, this is what we've been doing, right? Seeking, 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 and it's becoming very clear. What did they think that would happen? That God wouldn't open the doors for us? God has just flung the doors open wide. And so now we have this whole pipeline with Zorro Ranch all the way to Little St. James, that hellhole, from one hellhole to the another hellhole. And, Fort Huachuca, the psyops, let's put those squiggly things in your eyes. And I think that they've been trying to put squiggly things in people's eyes for so long that they've done it to themselves. See, you always fall in your own traps, right? That's what this evil gets you is you fall into your own traps. And so they don't get it anymore. And you can see that whole Fort Huachuca thing, what every answer they've given is so insane. They're like living in the twilight zone. They have little swirly things in their eyes. They've accidentally hypnotized themselves, right? They're living in a non-reality. And of course, our CAO that was part of the whole Fort Huachuca asymmetric warfare, he was assigned to us, and we caught him engaging and weaponizing uh, this kind of warfare tactics with us in our son's case. So uh, uh, I just thank God so much. I thank God, we've just had a hedge of angels around us protecting us. And this pipeline, and now with this Brazil thing coming out, this and I knew this for years, but I didn't put it together. It's just like been underneath, a dusty book or something like that. And here it comes out so clear. God has his own timing, right? That Patrick Crucius's father was training under the disciples of John of God, right, from Brazil, who was running the worst type of crimes against children, this trafficking and these farms, right? These farms, the more you read about it, the more you want to throw up. It's so bad. And all you can think of is La Diabla, because he seems to have been doing exactly what La Diabla was doing, but he was doing it on the farm level. On the farm level. It makes you wonder, what are they not telling us about La Diabla? Because her family was working for Beto O'Rourke. And we know that the Clintons were going down to Brazil. We know that Oprah was going down to Brazil. We know that this New World Order liked this guy that was doing the worst type of things. Why were they liking the? I guess it's this New World Order. It's like Satanism, right? They were establishing Satanism. That's what they were doing. There's no other explanation for it because the crimes are so egregious. They're so satanic. So if they're satanic, then that's what this New World Order was all about. So, yeah. Um, and I haven't even posted it up, that Brian Crucius, this part I did, um, you know, is from Allen, Allen, Texas is not that big, y'all. And the thing is, I used to go up there. Allen, Texas is not that big. And it is has a large Mormon population. Well, that's red flags for us because from the very beginning of this, I'm like noticing this common denominator that all these people involved are Mormons, this Mormon faction, right? And that they were absolutely vile, vulgar, and up to no good. Not the normal narrative that you hear. And so, Allen, Texas, Patrick Crucius is from Allen, Texas. Brian Crucius, a disciple of John of God that's doing the worst type of things, and he's like some kind of therapist, and all of a sudden you hear in Charlie Kirk's case that the security company and the people running it for Charlie Kirk to protect his life were from Allen, Texas. And then, another bell goes up. Wasn't Ernest Christopher Grant from Allen, Texas? Ernest Christopher Grant, the like witness that it was a false witness that witnessed against Patrick Crucius. Wasn't he from Allen, Texas? So it's like, really? Or near Allen, Texas? I mean, I think it's Allen, Texas, or near, very near. But Allen, Texas is not very big. So that the security company and the whole friendship and everything between Brian Harple and Dan Flood, Dan Flood from Allen, Texas, where it's small. I mean, what did you get your therapy from Brian Crucius? Did you get your financial advice from Brian Crucius Jr.? I, something stinks so bad. And knowing that the DFW area, which is Dallas Fort Worth, Texas, it's Fort Worth, and then a lot of suburbs. Arlington's in the middle. Then you have Dallas, got the suburbs. Used to go up there all the time. Um, that is where Raytheon is. That is where they make the jets, right? From the other company. What's the other company? Let me look here. So this is a very highly military contracts, intelligence, law enforcement, all of that is in that DFW area. It's big money, very big money. And anyone that's ever lived in Texas knows that DFW is big money. I mean, the show Dallas, by the way, right? And you know that the Cowboys are down in Houston, and then El Paso is cartels, is trafficking. Is trafficking. So to put together and then to hear that TPUSA is somehow every corner that is bent, when you lift up the bent part, it screams child trafficking, you know? And then to have the John of God being involved in that and Brian Crucius, and then you have right in that little area of Allen, little area of Allen. I posted up the map. Then you have Brian Harple and Dan Flood, and they're, and you think, well, what was Charlie Kirk up to? What was he up to? And like people say, what is President Trump up to? And right now, because Charlie Kirk is no longer with us, I think that that is his greatest defense against these accusations, because he wanted one of his last wishes was an audit of TPUSA, right? They were like, well, we're going to get to that, right? Um, something they weren't happy with him. And it seems like he was invaded. He was infiltrated. And they do the psyop, right? And I think he was handled, and that's what all the evidence that's coming out is very clear that he was very handled because he was very bright, and um, that's dangerous. that was one of the reasons why I decided to homeschool, because I was in Texas teaching when the No Child Left Behind came out, and I thought it was the most absurd thing to have, a test, and then every other year the standardized tests burden the children, especially the first 6 years of their life, just with these, always trying to take a test, these bubble tests, and I'm like, my goodness, they're trying to label everybody. They're trying to label everybody, and I didn't want that. I didn't want that for my children. I didn't want them to be labeled and have to go through, just going to school to try to, listen to the teachings for the standardized testing, you know. So so that was one of the big reasons why I decided to homeschool, and asked my husband, and he supported us, and um, supported us and the kids, and um, he was very busy working, working. So that made him have to work more, right? Have to work more. So yeah, it's Charlie Kirk was definitely, I don't know him well enough. You have to go to Candace Owens to understand more about Charlie Kirk in that case, but it is very odd that, it's not a coincidence. They're all coming from Allen, and that they attacked Charlie Kirk, who was very close to the president, and that President Trump was also um, targeted, and they attempted 2 times on him, maybe 3 times on him, on his life. And I know that the Walmart mass shooting, he was absolute the target for that. He was the real target. He might have not been in the Walmart, but he was the real target. And of course, Alexander Gerhard Hofmann, of course, um, uh, Maria Eugenia Lagarette wrote, of course, um, the Unchandos, of course, others, right? Others that lost their lives. But Ernest Christopher Grant is from Allen, Texas, or close to it, Allen, Texas. And he has all that background, and they were ghosting him. They were ghosting him. Now I understand why they were ghosting him. Protecting him. It costs a lot of money to protect Ernest Christopher Grant. It takes a lot of money. Go look at Brian Harple right now. It takes a lot of money to protect him. Come on, taxpayers, pay up. Pay up. You got to protect Ernest Christopher Grant so he can say the worst type of things that never happened in that Walmart. There was no, you listen to Patrick Crucius, there is no way that, I mean, and of course, the El Paso Police Department said that he's a big fat liar. But what he was saying was so bad, y'all. It was so bad. And anybody would be upset by what he was saying. It was a psyop. It was to hypnotize people to be against President Trump. That's what that was. It was a hypnosis. And, you know, wow. Very clear, very clear. So, people in Allen, Texas don't like President Trump. Do they care about, the military industrial complex and all the contracts, and um yeah, and President Trump is addressing those right now, right? He's addressing those because he has to do the art of the deal. He has to do the art of the deal. There's But he's clever. He's changing everything. He's changing everything, and We'll see. We'll see. Because the whole Jeffrey Epstein thing has gotten a lot of people mad. But it was 2018 when John of God was arrested. Well, who got that to happen? President Trump. It was Jeffrey Epstein that got President Trump that got Jeffrey Epstein arrested. That's the whole pipeline he's been working on. Now he just went and got Maduro and El Chapo, right? And it was only a matter of time for El Mayo, and he got now Cesar. El Mayo is in custody now, and Cesar Duarte. So he's got the oil. He saved the petrodollar. He saved the petrodollar. I mean, no one's talking about that. Well, not, I shouldn't say no one, but not many people are talking about that he saved the petrodollar. That is huge, huge news. And now with this whole Davos, just cracking. I mean, absolutely taking a hammer to the New World Order. Just taking a hammer to it. That's what he just did. It is just an amazing thing to watch. Bringing down prices of drugs for Americans that have been just abused for so long. I mean, he just took a hammer. He took a hammer to all those windmills that just caused so many problems and raise the prices of energy for the people like over 120%. Can you believe it? The whole thing, because I was over in Europe when they were telling us, oh, it's going to save you so much money. It's going to save so much money. It's going to lower your energy prices. And what? Over, it's like doubled it, more than doubled it. And they were high to begin with. I can't even imagine what they're paying for right now. And so, yeah, saving the petrodollar is really good. I know from South Korea when I last visited, that's before Richard, it was like 1 won to $1. They were just about even, not quite even, but just about even. Now it's like 1.5 won to a dollar. So the dollar got strong. Um, yeah, that's a good thing. That's a good thing. People have their opinions on that, but that means that we're a stronger country. So, just can you imagine when we really start producing, which is being built up right now? The economy is being built up. So, yeah, I'm getting off on a tangent, but yeah, the other thing that, oh my gosh, so late last night, I was looking at these pictures, right? I was looking at these pictures and I think I was talking to you and I said, oh my gosh, look at that. That's the blood mark. Am I allowed to say that on here? I think so since I'm not monetized. I think so. I don't have so many rules. Um, yeah. And that was before that whole line of, and it almost looks to me, did anyone look at that picture and know what I'm talking about? These pictures of the Walmart, inside of the Walmart. One comes from a video, okay, that was not released from the DPS. This is a private person's, a journalist that was there, uh, that took this inside video that was released very early, and then of course they wanted to take it down, right? But God works in beautiful ways, and we were able to get that video, and we have put it up there quite a bit, and I hope you watch it because it really shows what was going on in the Walmart. And this these pictures, the one above with Patrick Crucius, just in the entrance of the west entrance of the Walmart. Um, that was released from DPS. That's a still photo, right? And it shows Hoffman there on the floor. It looks like the blood has been wiped up a bit, but it left a stain on the concrete. That's what it looks like to me, right? So, give me your opinion on that because that means he was not alive um, way before Patrick Crucius even entered the Walmart. And the Walmart, there's no people there when he's entering in. And remember, a few minutes before, when he entered in to buy the oranges, there was all kinds of people loitering at the entrance. So what happened to those people now? It's empty. And even the McDonald's looks empty in these pictures. And there were people all over that. So I think this is a suspect of a staged crime scene and a staged patsy. That's what the suspect, it just corroborates everything else. Mountains, you see the mountains of evidence behind me. Oh, I should just mountain pile it up behind me, so people will see all the evidence we have because it's not limited to what I'm just saying right now. So what else did I post? It's just been, oh yeah, the Marsilio in Broad, he's the Mexican official that had the press conference that said, "Look, you know, we need to look at the gun. We need to look at the gun. We want to inspect this rifle, right? And where did it come from? Blah blah blah." And they denied him, even though 8 Mexican nationals were killed. They denied him. So that tells you that this gun. Oh, I was asked, do you think it's a .22 or do you think it's a prop, right? Do you think it's a Chinese cheap .22 or is it a prop? And I'm like, look, the professional said that it was this cheap Chinese that 22 that had been uh, .22, right? That had been ran over and survived. That it was a survivor, and so they used it as a prop gun. So the trainer gun could be used, when it is a survivor of a destruction, when they try to destroy these weapons. Um, it could be used bent back by bare hands, right? Because they're so weak, as a prop gun. And the gun, as many times as I've watched these videos and everything like that, well, there's an anonymous, uh, anon- mm, I have to use a different word. It's too late. But the two, in the videos, there seems to be a step in for Patsy, a more robust, confident person in the parking lot walking. It just doesn't seem to be him because he has kind of like a waddle duck walk, right? And the guy in the parking lot doesn't walk like that. And so I don't know. It just seems odd to me. And you can give me your opinion on that because I appreciate it. I appreciate it. If you see the same problems that I do, I'd appreciate it. If you don't, I'd love to hear your reasoning without all the insults because this is about our son. This is about our son and the vicious negotiation for his remains. And so, I don't need any snide remarks. He was absolutely a hero, distinguished honor graduate, and was murdered on Fort Bliss in the line of duty for whistleblowing on military tied to the Walmart mass shooting that was targeting the President of the United States. So show a little respect. I don't need snide remarks. I need real conversation to get to the bottom of this and to get our son's remains. That's what I need. So, to all my beautiful friends out there, I wasn't talking to you. I'm talking to people that are vile and vulgar and leave vile and vulgar messages. And yeah, so I just, you know, delete, right? Block, delete, whatever. So, yeah, I'd love your opinion on that. Then this hexagon star in the background is kind of strange too. It's very strange. I think that's about it. I think that's a lot, isn't it? That's a lot. So we're at 1 o'clock. And I am, oh my gosh, it's after. It's almost 1:15. Um, I just want to thank everyone for sharing. We have absolutely, I think we're destroying their shadow ban. And so I'm very grateful for everyone for sharing. And if you haven't shared, please share. Please share on different platforms. Get this information out. Thank you so much. We appreciate it so much. And God bless you. And I will be back tomorrow. God